Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Diesel, time for RasqacheArt Media, and today we're doing a special video breaking down the use of music in the Deadpool franchise, plus throwing it all in at the end, a little tidbit. We're going to do a quick review of Deadpool 2. I thought it was great, I liked it a lot, so we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. So let's break down how they use music in the first Deadpool movie. And first, we kind of gotta ask, what kind of movie is Deadpool? And it's a parody of the pre-existing comic book movies that have already come out. And what is a parody? It's making fun of a genre or something you're familiar with, and it's taking the tropes and it's flipping them on its head. But you can't just, do the tropes and expect it to be good. You have to execute. And the music of Deadpool allows for the actors to execute, or the writers or the directors to execute. So what do I mean by that? They kind of use the music like a prop. It's intentionally middle of the road because they don't want you too distracted by it. They don't want you walking out of the theater humming some John Williams song. They want you to just know by the music what type of scene it is. So if it's a romantic scene, they'll have some soft piano, oh my God, I love you. And if it's an action scene, they'll have the big symphony orchestra, but it's intentionally middle of the road. It's like I said, it's like a prop. So you're going to see a Star Wars parody troupe or whatever, and they can't afford real lightsabers, but maybe they can afford an umbrella. So they get out on stage and that's a lot more believable than if they just have their hand out. So that's kind of what they do with the music in Deadpool. It's just kind of there to be like, it's an action scene now, okay? But what they can do with that, which is tricky, is they can subvert expectation by setting up climactic notes and sequences with the music that your brain is familiar to. So, bum 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 bum, something happens like then, and you're like, oh, that's when he kisses his girlfriend on the lips, or he punches the bad guy in the mouth. But really what they do is they put his taint on the bad guy's lips. And that's freaking hilarious. So yeah, that's one of the ways that they use music in the first Deadpool. Now they also use pop songs, stuff you've heard on the radio, maybe you purchased a CD if you're from the old school, or maybe you downloaded it if you're, some hacker, I don't know what you're doing. Anyways, so what I liked was Deadpool's taste in music. So he's this badass ninja, super killing anti-hero, but he listens to Celine Dion and Sarah McLachlan, and you're like, what? I mean, he kills the bad guys, he makes funny jokes, and he has a hot girlfriend. So what are you gonna tease him for listening to Celine Dion? You can't. That's what makes it awesome. He's listening to Salt and Peppa, and they're rapping about hunky dudes the same way, a rapper would, rap about a curvy, bodacious babe, and he's just like, yeah, they're talking about me. He's so quirky that his taste in music is an extension of his quirkiness. So when they bring in X, gonna give it to you, I'm such a tough guy, it kind of, that's the one part where it brought me out. They were no longer subverting my expectation. They were taking a pump 'em up, I'm a tough guy action, hip hop song with loud horns, and it's cinematic, as Deadpool would say. And they're using it the way it's supposed to be used, the way you would expect it to be used. And that was the one time come on, it's I can do that all day. Come on, just write a quick action thing, middle of the road, keep doing what you're doing well. That was the only time I wish they hadn't used a pop song in the first Deadpool, which in Deadpool 2, we're gonna break it down a little bit more. They did everything they did in the first one, like on steroids. So the use of pop music in Deadpool 2, I liked, again, like the Celine Dion, poppy Canadian super ballad stuff. Why is Deadpool listening to it? You don't know. That's what makes it funny. But then when they had some like rapper, doing like, I'm so tough, I'm so badass, and it's leaning on the expectation instead of, bending it over. I just wish they would stop, get out of your way. You're supposed to be making fun of stuff, and now you are becoming the thing that you are making fun of. Now let's break down the use of film score in Deadpool 2, because they did that quite a bit differently from the first Deadpool. Now, like I said, the first Deadpool, it was just background noise to inform, your brain, okay, this is the type of scene that I'm watching. This time, they took that, and instead of trying to, shy away from what they were doing, they leaned into what they were doing. So, we know Colossus is this goody two-shoes Boy Scout of a superhero, so they have this super corny when the X-Men show up. Instead of leaning into the background, they're letting you know straight up, like, this dude is corny. And we have the big battle with the Juggernaut, and he's this unstoppable force. He's this, you can't defeat the Juggernaut. Like I said, he's the unstoppable Juggernaut. Once he gets going, he cannot be stopped. So that's terrifying, And so how do you terrify the audience with this, comedic portrayal of this scary character? You use scary music. Ha ha, you got the choir, ha 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 ha. But they're not singing in Latin, they're actually saying shit balls, shit balls. And so again, they're leaning into it. They're letting you know that they're saying shit balls. They want you to laugh at shit balls. So I like that they went for it this time instead of just using it as a prop. This time, the music actually had personality. It actually had themes, whereas the first one did not have themes. So big ups to Deadpool 2, busting out the new music. Although the pop, some of it they did struggle a little bit, but every movie has its problems. We can't knock, one or two songs. I mean, we can knock it, but we can't knock the whole movie. We can't say, oh, I don't like Deadpool 2 because of one song. Nah, come on, grow up. It's an awesome movie. I loved it. I even thought it was better than the first. Why? We're gonna get into it with the spoiler review. So I want to talk about the overall depiction of the Deadpool character from the first one versus the second one, what they changed up and what they did a little better, I don't know. So check it out. The first one, they had this beautiful love story, and that's what tied it together as a movie. You cared about Morena Baccarin's character, and you cared about Ryan Reynolds' character, and you wanted them to be happy and fall in love together again at the end. And the second one, they just kill her right off the bat. Trust that the John Wick director is going to do something like that. So the first one, it had the heartstrings pulling. It was very tight. It was a very personal story, whereas the second one, it was more of a big, grand scale, more typical superhero movie. All right, you following along? Okay, cool. So I think that they balanced the humor with the drama much better in the first one because it's a tighter story. But I think they serviced the character Deadpool and captured his essence infinitely better the second time around. So how do I mean by that? I don't think that the character Deadpool is necessarily in love with any particular woman. I mean, sure, the guy likes to sleep around, he likes the ladies, he has a lot of love in his heart. I'm not calling him an asshole, but I don't think he has a one true love. I think for a movie it's a good idea, and it's what tied it all together for a movie, but if you've read the Deadpool comics, you know he might go above and beyond for a piece of tail, but there ain't no wifey that he's going back to. So that kind of tripped me up as a Deadpool fan, seeing him have a one true love. But going back again and watching it just as a movie, I thought that worked really well to tie it all together, like I said. Now let's get into the second one. He's still in love with this woman, we can see that, but she's not around, which kind of felt more familiar. And I'm not saying I like it better or worse, I'm not rooting for her to die, but I thought it was cool to have him running around and not going home to somebody. You get what I'm saying? Although, spoiler alert, he does go home to her each time he dies. And that brings us to our next thing that I thought they did really well. They didn't have the character of Mistress Death this time around, but they did have Morena Baccarin, Vanessa's character, in the afterworld. So she kind of replaced the character of Death for the purposes of tightening up the movie franchise. And you get to see Deadpool's obsession with death, with dying himself. He can't be killed. He doesn't know how to kill his own self. He can't blow his own head off and die. And to see him go to the underworld and be told, no, we can't be together, is something they did in the comics pretty well a few times here and there. I don't know if you read. But also in the movie, I thought it looked good, it felt great, within the context of the movie. They did that really, really well, and it kind of reminded me of Black Panther. He takes the herbs and goes and visits with his father. It had that, those were the tightest parts of the movie. That's they only did it for a minute at a time because that is the heart of the movie. Each time he dies and visits Vanessa again, you're so happy that he gets to see her again, yet sad that they can't be together, and also happy that he gets to go back to being Deadpool because he's so awesome at it. And speaking of being awesome at it and being able to run around and just do his thing, another obsession of Deadpool's is being on a team. From the comics we know he's stoked to be an Avenger. That's one of the things he wants, is to feel accepted by the superhero community, and having that Avengers badge means that, hey man, we recognize you as a superhero, not just this goofball screw up who can't, save the day and do anything right. So, they can't do that. He's in the Fox franchise, not the MCU franchise, but, Fox has the X-Men. And Deadpool's a mutant, the Wolverine thing, Cable, it's all tied in. So he's trying to join the X-Men, and that's his new obsession. The same way in the comic books, we saw that with the Avengers. So again, it's the movies. They can't do it like the comic book. But they took the tools that they had, and they used them correctly. And that's what you should be doing when you're limited, like I said. Gotta take what you have and make lemonade, baby. So I love that they had the obsession with death and the desire to join the team, and they carried on the insecurities and using humor as a mask from before, and they just upped it, just even more gags, the baby legs, and I'm not even gonna say the rest. That was, I was dying in the theater laughing. One of the things that I thought they didn't do quite as well was the pacing. It's a very, lots going on in this movie, and they just don't have enough time to breathe. I heard Ryan Reynolds say in an interview that he wanted to keep this fast paced and keep it under 2 hours, but I don't know, maybe it could have just been 5 minutes longer. For example, when he puts together the X-Force team, again, that's part of his own insecurities. He wants to feel like a leader. He wants to feel validated for himself. So he puts together this X-Force team, and then they die in 5 minutes, and you get an actor like Terry Crews who's so recognizable, and you want to see what Terry Crews is going to do, and they just kill him immediately. And I didn't really care for the Peter character. I thought it was really funny. It worked great for the trailer to get me in the seat, but once that actually happened in the movie, I'm like, I don't really care for Teddy Bear. It's not crucial to the movie. When you're writing a story, you kind of want to make sure that everything you do has a payoff and that there's no loose ends. And I just felt like that whole X-Force assembled a team, it was a big loose end. It's subverting your expectation by making the team, and you're like, oh yeah, it's like an Avengers, they set up the team, and then they all die and you get a little laugh. But I mean, it was all just for a quick little laugh, and as far as getting to the end of the story, that didn't do anything for me emotionally. It just kind of confused me, and then, oh, they keep teddy bear, big whoop, ha ha ha, like, I don't know. So yeah, very small complaint to have, you know, just one scene that they kind of forced in. They got a big name like Terry Crews, like I said, and as soon as he died, I'm like, oh, the rest are toast. I don't care about this acid dude. You know, it was fun that they had Brad Pitt be Vanisher, but it was all gimmicky. Other than that, I thought the rest was really cool. Seeing Juggernaut, I kind of guessed maybe is that the Juggernaut, and then when they finally busted him out and he's better than the X-Men 3, you know, that dude, he did a cool job for what he was doing back when the X3 came out. It was a different time, but now that we have the technology to make Juggernaut look good on the cheap and have him actually big, this, you know, larger than life character who makes even Colossus look small, that was really exciting. In the fight scene, oh man, the line about, oh, here comes another CGI battle, that kind of messed it up, but whatever, I can let that go. And just watching Colossus face off with Juggernaut, and like he's the underdog and he's taking on this bigger dude and he's not giving up. Oh man, that was so dope. There's so many, I could just go on and on. There's so many good moments in this movie. If you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. And if you haven't seen it and you're watching this video, I'm so sorry, but spoiler alert. Anyways, I gotta get out of here. I've been Diesel Time for RasqacheArt Media. If you haven't checked out my book, I don't know what the heck you're doing with your life, go to TheRealKalaca.com and check it out. I wrote it in Mexico. It's about a luchador taking on the cartels who are trying to kill the I said too much. You gotta go read it. Check it out. KalacaComic.com. Peace.